In this video, I want to show you how to clone limbs. When I'm building a character in Harmony, I like to start on the front view where both sides are mostly symmetrical. And so what we're going to do is we're going to build one arm, one eye, one ear, and one leg. And then we're going to clone them and flip them to the other side of the body so that anytime we draw a new cell swap or drawing substitution for the hand or the foot, it'll be available on the other side of the rig as well. So let me show you how this works. All right, so here's my princess, and I'm going to start on the arm. So I've got an arm here, and what you're going to do is you're going to select the group of the arm. And inside, I'll show you that I have all of the engineering, is what we call all this, with underlay and line art and cutters and all that fun stuff. And what I'm going to do is I need to clone this. Now, to clone this the way that we want to, you want to come to your Node View toolbar and right-click and choose Customize. And you want to add this button. It's called Clone Drawings Only. So you'll find it over here on the left side. You just need to push the right arrow, and by default it'll come down here to the bottom. Hit Apply, and then hit OK. And then what you want to do is you're going to click on this Clone Drawings Only button with the arm group selected in the node view. And we want to rename this so that it's called _clone instead of _1. This will be a little bit easier for anybody to follow later on. Okay, so now we're going to hook it up. So now we have a duplicated arm, but it's sitting right behind this one. If we were to turn that off, you'll see that we've got another arm right there. So what we need to do is we need to add a peg. We're going to slide it in, holding Alt or Option to that cable. And then we are going to use the Transform tool and the Animate Current Frame tools. And then we are going to click on Flip Horizontal. Okay, so now it's moved over here. It's not quite right yet. I'm going to move this over so that it's where I want it to be. Okay, now what we're going to do is if anybody were to come through, and I want to show you something. So let's say that somebody was posing this arm, trying to do some foreshortening. She's got a stomachache or something, and somehow people had kind of messed up what you had going on, and people were confused, and you wanted to just fix it. What you'd want to do is you want to come in here, select everything, and then press R to reset. So now we've got the arm back to a good, useful position. So it's very helpful to be able to press R to reset things. Now, the only problem with this is, I'll just move this back here how I had it. The only problem is if someone were to select all the stuff, you know, like the whole upper body looks messed up and they want to push reset, if they reset the arm clone peg, it's going to get rid of that -1x flip and the positioning that we did. So we'd like to have something that won't reset when someone selects it. And I'll show you this really awesome node. If you go into the node library and type static, you'll pull up this static transformation node. I want you to hold Alt or Option and slide it in between the peg and the group. And what we're going to do is we're going to show the layer properties on this. So I've got the layer properties window open here. Or you could simply click on this layer properties button to get the same stuff. Now what we're going to do is we're going to select the static transformation and we're going to click on Bake Immediate Parents Transformation. And so when we click on this button, it's actually going to bake in all of these properties that are right here. And so then we're going to go ahead and so what you have here is on the clone layer, the peg, there's a -1 flip, as well as on a static transformation, there's a -1 flip. So because we have the two -1 X flips here, what we want to do is we actually want to delete the original peg. Now we've got the static transformation, where -1 on the X scale is cooked into it, and the X and the Y positioning that we did are cooked into it. And so if anybody selects the static transformation and presses R, nothing happens. So it keeps these properties for the entire timeline. And so now that I'm looking at it, it looks like it's a little too low. You can actually go ahead and just like type in new values here. That was probably too small. You see how tiny that's going up? There. Let's say that that's where I want it. Anyways, it'll stay that way the whole time. So I love using static transformations. Now, check this out. This is really cool. If I were now to move the arm and switch the hand, I was just using the bracket keys to cell swap there. And then I can use my envelope deformers that I have on my arm to make this a little bit more natural looking. And maybe let's even just do some foreshortening and select all those at once. A lot of the time it's easier to do this if you make a sketch, but this will work here. Okay, I'm going to parent up and make sure I've got all the different hand layers. Okay. All right, so let's say that I really like this pose, okay? And I spent all the time making it. So what I can do is I can actually select both of the arms, come in my timeline, press center on selection, which is usually O unless you've customized it. And we can see the different groups of the arm. So as you can see, here's the regular arm group, and then here is the arm clone group. Now, a lot of the time I like to go ahead and color the uppermost peg, so it's really easy for me to see what I'm copying from and to on the timeline. So now if I copy from this, let me show you. Sometimes I like to open up two node views so that I can a little bit more clearly show you what I'm trying to do. So as you can see, I'm going to put the normal arm, this is the screen left arm, I'm going to go into that group here. This is the uppermost peg. I probably want to relabel that so it's something that's not -p -p -p. Okay, and then this is the clone. And so what I want to do is I want to copy all of this stuff over to the other arm. And because we grouped the arm, all of the layers are named exactly the same thing. You can never have two things named the same thing in the same group. You see how it would always add a 1. I just copied and pasted that. So that's why it's awesome to group stuff first. All right, so I want to copy all of this. I'm going to go here on the timeline. I'm going to press copy, and then I'm going to press paste, which what this is going to do, it's going to paste all of the keyframes and drawing substitutions. Check that out. It automatically, I can paste the animation from one side of the arm to the other. Let me undo. Let me show you one other case where this might not work. Let's say that here I am with the hand, and let's say that I added something like a wand. I pressed Control-R to add a drawing. I need to make sure to plug this in. Okay, and then let's say that I draw a wand. Okay, Okay, I would want to layer that and use the appropriate swatches on that, but you can see that it will now move with the hand. Now, what happens now that I've changed something in this one? What happens if I try to copy and paste from this group to the other group? Copy and paste doesn't work anymore. Why? It's because there's a different number of layers. Harmony can tell, uh-oh, there's one extra layer, one extra drawing in there, or one extra drawing layer or node that is not in the other group. So instead of just regular copy paste, we're going to copy. So click on that, Control C, and make sure that the this peg is collapsed. You see, if you press O, it will open it all up, or O will collapse it. So you want to make sure it's all collapsed so that when you copy the keyframes, it's going to copy all of the children keyframes and drawing substitutions as well. Copy, and then instead of regular paste, we're going to right click and we're going to choose Paste Special, which is a Control B on Windows. And what we want to do is we want to say match by node layer name. So even if there's like 20 more layers in one of the arms than this one, it's just going to go and match the layers that are there. So now we hit OK, and now the hand comes over here. Okay, so I'm just going to press undo a bunch of times. I'm going to go ahead and you don't have to have two node views open in order to do what I'm doing right here. Typically, what I will do is just like I showed you, I'll just have one. Let me just show you how I usually have it. Usually I will just select both of these and press O and then dig down and show. I can see that red layer, the upper arm, and that's where I can copy and then paste special. And now since I've already done it, I can say paste special again. And there you go. So that's what's so cool about having cloned groups. And then also I could just select everything. If you hold Alt or Option and then you left drag across a group and then you press R, it'll reset everything that's inside. And also if you click on in the deformation reset current keyframe, it'll reset all the deformers. And so maybe I'll switch back to the default hand that I had before. So my arm right now is not ideal. Ideally, I would like the reset to do something like this. So that all depends on where you draw the original pieces of art, if you draw them straight. And this is why it's good when you're drawing a turnaround to keep the arms down in a default position, like kind of like an A pose. All right, so I've got that arm looking right. So I'll paste that. Control B. All right, cool. And then I'm just going to go and do the exact same thing that I did here with the static transformations and clone stuff. I'm going to do it for the other pieces. So if this is just repeat, clone drawings only, I want to rename this to be clone instead of one. Go plug this in wherever that other eye goes. Let's see, I'm going to click on that cable so I can see a little easier where it needs to plug into. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to select this and press Control H, which adds a composite. I'm going to hold Alt or Option to slide that in there. I'm going to plug this in right here, and then I'm going to delete the composite, and now they're both plugged in next to each other down here in this giant bundle of cables. I could hover over each of these to see what they're called, where they're coming from, but just a little shortcut. All right, now as you remember before, what we need to do is above the eye clone, Control P to add a peg, Alt drag to put that peg inside that cable. We're going to use the flip horizontal feature, and then I'm just going to move it to where it belongs on that side of the face. And then I'm going to add a static transformation. In Harmony 20, you can simply press Enter and start typing, and then press Enter again to get the node library stuff to come up. And then I'm going to bake the immediate parents transformations. Now there's 2 -1 X flips. So now I'm going to delete the clone. All right, cool. Do the same thing with the leg. Select the group, clone, and it's very important to use clone drawings only. If you use clone drawings and timing, that's a different button. Anytime you rotate anything in the other clone, it will rotate in both of the pieces. So that's the timing, and all the keyframes are moving at the same time. This is just this is cloning all the drawings. So if we draw a new hand on one side of the body, it will be available for us to use on the other side of the body. Save you a ton of time. You don't have to draw the same hand on 2 parts of the body. All right, let's go ahead. Oh, I had already set this up. I don't like to use pegs out here because it can get a little confusing on which one you're supposed to animate on. So I like to just keep the pegs inside the body. I'm just going to delete this real quick. Delete this. Okay, clone this guy. Plug it in so it'll show up. I already made a composite here. It's nice to be able to just turn them off. You can press D to disable them when you need to. All right, let's do what we always do. Let's rename it from 1 to clone. And then let's go ahead and add in yeah, sure, we'll bring in the static transformation right now. I'm not going to plug it in yet. First we need to add the peg, Control P, Alt, drag that in to the cable, flip, scoot that over to where we want it. Great. Slide the transformation in with Alt, use the properties, bake immediate parents transformations, delete this. You probably want to come back through and label these later. I'll show you how I like to label them. I just like to go WFP, that's the prefix for my character, leg _ static. I just like to abbreviate. That makes sense to me. I understand what's going on. And then cheeks. This is something a lot of people don't think about, but it's helpful to have cheeks. Right here, if you look, I have a little handle selector. It'll let me swap the cheek on. And what this is on the cheek, I'm going to go to my drawing view. So it's just the cheek. I'm going to show everything. So here on the overlay layer, I have just a little handle swap, something that I can select in order to swap to other more useful drawings. If I were to show you the drawing substitutions, see, I've got an off drawing, 0FF, and then I've got number 1, you're not seeing it here, I need to show you all of the layers. These, the flesh color and the line are drawn on the line art, not on the overlay. But on the selector, it's just on the overlay layer. And what we've done is, this is probably getting a little too deep for this tutorial, but what we've done is usually you have 4 sub-layers, the overlay, line art, color art, and underlay, coming out of every drawing node. So what we've done here is we've had a filter. So if you come down here, if you were to type in layer, you could pull in the underlay layer, overlay layer, layer selector. So I just brought in a layer selector and I said, I only want you to read the line art and color art. So that's going to be the flesh color and the lines coming through here, and that's plugged into the main composite. And then over here, I said, I only want to see the overlay coming out here. And then I used below it a visibility layer, visibility effect. And I can say, I only want to see this in my OpenGL view. So that's the view that we're working in. And uncheck soft render. So when we go to the render view in the camera, we are not going to see it, but it is here for us. We can select it and then swap it using our bracket keys, or using the drawing substitution window, you can just select the drawing that you want. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, the cheek is really simple. It's just a single layer. So I'm just going to select these, and I probably should add a peg. And I should set the pivot point of that peg. I'm going to select these. I'm going to click on Clone Drawings Only. I could have made it a group, but because it's just this, I don't want to bother. And then I see it put an _1 on the end of all of these. I'm going to select these and then use my Add Prefix Suffix button in the Node View toolbar. And then I'm going to affect the suffix. I want to remove text 1. I want to insert text clone. Hit OK. It added it to the end of all of those. So that's cool. And I actually like that P to be after it. It's all good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is the same trick that I did last time. I'm going to select this cheek layer selector, press Control H, Command H on a Mac to add a composite. I'll slide that in there. I'll put this layer selector, pipe that in, and then delete the composite. I will do the same thing here. Slide it in. So this is just quickly plugging it into where it should go without me having to go and follow all those cables down there. All right, so now what we need to do is we need to plug that cheek in. And I am going to go and flip it horizontally. And I'm going to scoot it over. I'm holding Shift and middle mouse. That's how I'm moving it. Using middle mouse when you're in the camera view is fantastic. If you have transform and animate current frame, you hold middle mouse, you can push anywhere on the screen and it will affect it. If you hold middle mouse and Alt or Option, you can rotate. This is a lot easier than having to go and like fine-tune, find this and then rotate it, or click on the yellow box or the art to move it. So that's my preference, is use middle mouse. Okay, so that cheek looks like it's probably in about the right spot. You know what to do. You can come here in the node library to type static, or you can press enter with Harmony 20 in the node view. Okay. I'll put it up above here. Oh, yeah. I did it a little bit wrong, but I can fix it, no problem. I'm going to bake the immediate parents transformations. Let's go ahead and just delete this. We're following the same pattern we always do. Now I do want this to have a peg of its own so I can move it independently. Usually these are like the master pegs inside of a group, right? And then I just need to make sure that I set the pivot. And I'd like the pivot to be in the exact same place as the other cheek. So I can just open the layer properties of both. I can go down to the pivot information and copy and paste from the x-axis and the y-axis to the other. So now the pivot will be in exactly the same spot. There you go. So start building your rig in the front view. Build just one each of any of the parts of the body that are going to be symmetrical, and then use the Clone Drawings Only button in the node view. And then in a future video, I'm going to show you how to update a cloned group, because if you add anything new to the other, to the engineering, like I showed you the wand, or if you added like a bracelet or a tattoo layer or something like that, you're going to want to re-clone it and copy and paste the information that was on the old outdated layer system. So I'll show you that in a future one, but when you're building a rig, you do that all the time. So, all right, well, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you soon.